Los Angeles is coming into the link to face the Eagles in the divisional round. We have the Sixers, who continue to make themselves more unlikable. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Philly Sports Now, a Philly fan podcast. My name is Zach. With me is Andrew, and we're here to talk all things Philly sports. Now that the divisional wild card, nope, I already messed it up. Now that the wild card weekend has ended, we have the divisional round coming to Philadelphia. Where the Los Angeles Rams will take on our Philadelphia Eagles. Um, I gotta say, as crazy as this might sound, I think this is my dream matchup for this round. I I definitely wanted the Rams or the Vikings over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because I just think Tampa Bay gets the Philadelphia script somehow. I don't think they're a better team. I just think it's that team that somehow gets your number and they give you a hard time and harass the heck out of you. Um, I just didn't want Tampa Bay. So honestly, I was glad to see Washington beat them. Washington's gonna go get, destroyed by the Detroit Lions. And we have coming up the Los Angeles Rams coming against the Eagles. Andrew, did you watch the LA Minnesota game? And if you did, what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I watched it from start to finish. I thought the Rams rallied behind a nice quick start. They got out to some of the Eagles. They got that quick early lead, and their defense just controlled the game. It's going to be a great matchup. You saw that offense is very good. They got a veteran quarterback. He just goes out and makes the right decisions. He gets rid of the ball quick. In that game, that they utilize a lot of different talent on that offense, and then the defense kind of helped take them to that next level as well. So very similar type of game in terms of they used a big lead to control it early and just never let the Vikings back in it. But my thoughts were the Rams look very good. They're playing their best football right now, and the hands for the Eagles will be full on Sunday.
A little, probably the last time we really talk about them, but I mean, Sam Darnold and the Vikings just looked horrible. They looked like they didn't even deserve to be in the playoffs.
Well, yeah, I mean it was a tough end of the year for them after a great year for Sam Darnold up until the final week of the season when he struggles in Detroit. They don't get that one seed, and then they go down early in that game, and they just I don't know they didn't look like they could recover, and they looks like they lost everything that they had going right for them, and we'll see what kind of offseason it brings for Darnold because he had that 1 year deal, prove me kind of contract, supposed to be the backup this year, and turned into a very good year. So it'd be interesting what they do with him.
Yeah, it's a shame because I was actually talking to shout out friend Nate, but I was talking to my friend about how I Minnesota is one of those teams where I actually don't dislike the Vikings as a team. I hate their fan base, especially after the 2017 season when they came in for the championship game, right? Um, I I don't hate the Vikings themselves though. I just don't like the Viking fan. I think they're an obnoxious fan base. But the Vikings themselves are kind of like a fun bunch, and like especially this year following them, like Darnold getting his like victory lap, it felt like, especially at the end of the one game, I forget what, but the last win before Detroit, I believe, where the locker room guys are hoisting him up in the air, and you've got the coach just standing there smiling, like it was setting up. They're gonna re-sign Darnold, they're gonna trade the rookie quarterback, all these things, right? And then you just go and lose to Detroit, which no one blamed him for. It was like tough game, you lose. You're technically the second seed in the NFC, but due to how the divisions work, you're going down to what was it, seventh? No, sixth. Um, and then it's like, oh, okay, now go play the Rams, which should have been a pretty even matchup, and they just looked horrible. Just horrible. And you got to assume after that game, Darnold won't be re-signed. They'll probably go with the rookie who I can't remember his name, and they'll probably go with starting to start him and give him, his reps. And Darnold just gets signed somewhere else, maybe, and unfortunately for millions less. But it's really just a sad Like you just feel bad for them kind of thing. I saw a meme the other day about Eagles fans feeling sad and feeling bad for Giants fans. It's like I don't know this feeling and I don't like it, but I feel bad for them right now because they're just so bad. And it's like jokes aside, that's how it is for Minnesota right now. Like it was just a crash and burn.
It reminds me a little bit in the decision the Eagles had to make. Obviously, ours was a little different because we ended up winning the Super Bowl. But when you had the veteran Foles that went on a giant run, and you had to choose between Foles and the young rookie, because obviously Foles made a name for himself that year, and he was going to take a backup role. So it's kind of similar in that sense. They go with the young guy, and the other difference there is Wentz actually played games and proved he was a good quarterback at the time, where McCarthy got hurt and then hasn't proven himself. So yeah, the Vikings got a very tough decision on their hands on what they want to do and go from there. But I mean, yeah, I can't imagine at least Donald agreeing to being a backup after the year he had. There, there's plenty of teams that will need a guy like him to come in and maybe do another prove me deal. So we'll see what happens to Darnold. But
But do you agree? You think he moves?
no, I kind of lean they're going to bring him back and move on from the rookie.
Really? I think those last two games might impact that because I think there was no doubt he was staying before those last two games, but because of the last two,
Yeah,
I just think that overpowers it. And again, I don't know if that's necessarily the right decision, but I don't know. But
I
like I
think
said,
I
what?
think it'd be different if McCarthy had games and played, but you're still have an unproven guy coming off an injury. So I think that's kind of where I lean, where this guy took you to a big time year. Most years, if you win that many games in the regular season, you're going to be a division winner. It just happened that the better team was in your division. So I
Depends.
think with that being said, they'll try to bring him back. I mean, maybe like a 2-3 year deal.
So moving to our game, the one we care about for reals, which is the outcome of that one being LA 3 o'clock this Sunday in the link. I mean, the spread is -6 Eagles. How juicy is that? I love to see it. I'm so pumped. I've I think I'm more, which is bad, which is bad. This is like jinx. This is like you're pissing off the sports gods, but I feel more comfortable going into this game than I did last week.
Yeah, I've been going back and forth. Originally coming into the playoffs, I would have said, yeah, Packers fear me more than the Rams. But I don't know. The Rams look really good right now. And I
They're
think
hot. For sure they're hot.
they're hot. And that's what you got to do. We've
I'm
seen
yelling
it
at
in
the
the
guy.
past. But I think, I don't know. I think we're still in a good spot. I mean, again, I was listening to the post game show we did after the game, but we were both happy. I was happy with the way the Eagles turned out and played. And I was surprised to see how high the spread was, to be honest, with this one. But hey, I also kind of like the. I don't know if you saw this. I was reading the conditions don't look too great on Sunday. It looks like it's going to be cold and snowy. So, um, I mean, a team from LA it should give the
That's
East, the Eastern team a little bit of an advantage. Obviously,
that's in
Matt
our
Stafford's
favor.
been around the game a while, so he'll be plenty used to some bad weather. But yeah, overall, we'd be more used to the cold and stuff. So I'll be interested to see what that final. I mean, obviously, we know the weather changes constantly, so we'll see what the final ruling is on Sunday. But yeah, as of now, it doesn't look too great.
I I do love that. I do think that matters. I don't think LA is gonna. It's not the one team that if you were telling me that they're gonna play in a snow game, it's like, oh, they lost. Miami. Anytime
Yeah.
Miami, it's like under 40 degrees, and they just can't. They lose. They just automatically. Not even Tampa for whatever reason. It's just Miami can't handle the cold.
Well,
Uh,
that I don't know if you saw the clips of. I think it was the Packers because everyone knows Lambeau Field gets pretty cold. I think it was the
yeah.
last week or the second to last week of the year. Miami went to Green Bay, and Green Bay's over there warming up in like short sleeves, and Miami's out in coats and gloves and hats, and it was pretty funny.
The thick skin thing, man, it's a real deal. And now going off of I got some just looking at them at comparison wise, uh the Matt Stafford versus Jalen Hurts comparison is it's it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Stafford is obviously, on the older side of this whole thing. He's got his Super Bowl, but he's not. He's just he's the old dog that just won't lie down and die. Basically, is what we're looking at right now. And for them to be making a run right now is pretty remarkable. But again, I just don't. I think the defense is in for a hell of a game, but I don't think it's a game that's going to overpower them.
Yeah, I think the big thing with the Eagles defense is, and unfortunately, you lose Nakobe Dean for the season. And it's going to be how do the Eagles adjust to that? And that's going to be a big thing. You're missing your defensive play caller, as we mentioned last show, that he was a big time voice in that presence. And you're going to mix a couple different packages. It sounds like with Burks being the lead guy, and then Trotter getting some snaps as a rookie. So you're kind of getting your hands full from the start. So I'm really curious how the defense looks there in the middle against the Rams tight end set. We'll see what Tyler Higbee. He kind of got a little banged up on Monday night. We'll see if he's able to go. The Rams starting tight end, and I think it's Packison's their backup. He's had some decent games this year, so we'll see what happens from that front. But yeah, that's the big thing for the Eagles is you lose Dean, and we'll see how you do up with the next man up. But in terms of corners, we'll see. I like you said, I like Matt Stafford. I think he's a really good quarterback. He knows how to adjust well. He gets rid of the ball quick. So it'll be interesting to see how our defensive line and pass rush can adjust to that. But they got two good receivers there. So our rookie cornerbacks, too, have been very good all year. And Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell are going to have their hands full as well. So it's going to be a fun battle. It's going to be a fun battle.
Now, got to give Nakobe Dean credit, and I'm not taking anything away from him. But with the way Vic Fangio's got this defense running and the depth we've established, Howie Roseman has put in this team, I mean, other than Trotter Jr. being a young, like fresh blood to the max, it are you really that worried at that position?
I am a little concerned. Again, I just think it's different. It's a guy that Dean obviously has come a long way where he struggled when he first got out, and again he's from what I heard and read, he was almost like the quarterback of the defense. He's the signal caller. He's the guy calling out plays, communicating different stuff when the offense is the ones, when the offense is audibling and stuff. He's kind of the one keeping them in a group. And when you get a different voice, sometimes it takes a little bit to adjust there. And while, yeah, Zach Bond's been the guy that make the big plays, and he's the first team all-pro guy and everything, it still takes. I mean, you got to know where you got to be on the field and stuff too. So we'll see. Again, I'm not saying they're going to lose because of it. I just think it's going to take a little bit for them to adjust. It might be one of those games, you see a first drive, the Eagles defense struggles a little bit, and then that you see them adapt to the game. Kind of like you saw the first game Brandon Graham missed. It took him a little bit to adjust with that and realize where everybody was at and go from there. I mean, this team just, you could tell, lives. I mean, they love the chemistry. They love knowing the ins and outs of where everybody's at and everything. And you've seen some miscommunication stuff break down at small points. So I think it's going to take maybe the first drive or two to adjust, and then you'll see this team or defense take off again.
And now moving on to the offense. Look, again, giving the Rams credit where credit's due. They won a Super Bowl before the current Eagles team really has. It's a lot happening here, right? However, this Eagles offense, I mean, we already know Barkley, Smith, and Brown are coming in hungry. They were, I mean, Barkley was used quite a bit as per usual, but even his information, his stats were a little on the lower side. And Brown having, I know we talked about it, but Brown having less yards than Dotson was crazy. Look, touchdown score, bet all three of them, bet two of them at least. But like, I have to say, you're going up against the Rams defense, which according to Fox Sports, the 2024 Rams defense is ranked 26th in the league. I mean, I think the Eagles are going to run all over them, literally with Barkley. But I think AJ Brown gets like, I don't want to say 110 yards passing, receiving, but like, you know what? Passing too. AJ
Yeah.
Brown's going to do so many like, they're going to
We'll run
flea flip
5 Philly
it.
specials.
But no, I think Brown gets like 80 plus receiving yards. I think Devontae Smith gets like, I don't know. I think Smith is going to be more in the Goddard position of the last game. Like he is used a lot in crucial situations. And yeah, again, I just think these boys are hungry, and I think the Rams defense might be able to have some holes that they can take advantage of. That came out wrong. Don't take it the wrong way.
Um, I think for sure this team will. I think it starts with the ground game. And I know everyone's ripping on Hurts this week, especially in the national media. You know, everyone's questioning, I mean, I'm kind of and tired of that and stuff. I mean, who cares if he was a game like manager? Like he did what he had to do to get the win and everything. And to your point about running, I mean, this Rams defense struggles against the run. You saw it in the first game against them. Saquon Barkley finished with 255 rushing yards in that game. He had 2 touchdowns in the Eagles' win over the Rams earlier this season. And I expect the same thing in terms of the recipe to win this game. I don't think I'm not going to sit here and say Barkley's going for 250 yards again. Obviously, that's very hard to do, but I think you're going to start this game going through the ground, winning plays, and then setting up plays maybe to Brown deep. To your point, I think Brown's in for a big game. Another guy that's been getting ripped on all week, obviously with his incident during the game last week with pulling out the book. So I think he's in for another big game. He's kind of tired of all the hate, and you saw last time when he got the same thing. Everyone was claiming he was unhappy. They came out of that Steelers game and went right to Brown. I think it was like three or four times. So I think it's going to be similar to that. As you're going to come out and try to get a couple passes to Brown, you're going to get Barkley to go for a couple big runs. And yeah, I'm not worried about this offense at all. I think this offense is going to come out and do a lot of good things here early on in the game and get the crowd behind them. And yeah, I think this offense is in for a good game.
I'm pumped, dude. I'm so excited for this game. It's one of those situations where I haven't done any planning yet, but like I'm so pumped. I want to plan like what I'm gonna cook, what I'm gonna like drink. Like I want the whole spread basically. And I think I'm just getting so jacked up. Like I was walking down the street wearing my Eagles winter coat with, of course, the Kelly Green symbol on it and logo. And this guy walking by, he just stops me. He goes, "Hey, I'm a Packers fan. You guys ruined our season." I was like, "I'd say I'm sorry, but I'm not." And
That's good.
we said a couple other things back and forth, and I just ended it walking away. And I go, "I'm just waiting for Detroit." And like, man, I hate when fans from any fan base, including ours, say they want another team that they're not playing, but that's what this is. And I want this game to be such a just butt whooping to the Los Angeles Rams. And it's I understand they're hot, and I think the LA Fires probably does have a lot to do with it. I think they're playing like for that distraction, they're playing for loved ones, they're playing for their community, like all that. And I do think that brings a lot of power. That brings momentum, and the mental game becomes Rams, like I don't want to say their favor, but it helps them for sure. But again, I just think this Eagles team at home, you got to remember, we beat them pretty bad last time, and that was in LA. That was in their house. They're coming to Philadelphia. It's cold. It's like, oh my gosh, I think this is going to be such a high score game for the Eagles, and I'm just so excited about it.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I could be more excited. Thank you, Commanders, for helping me out so I can watch the game on Sunday. I know we
Yes.
joked about that in the Monday show, but no,
Yes,
yeah,
we both
it's
had Saturday conflicts, and we were like, "Oh God!" I was gonna be in a situation where I'm visiting friends, and I'm like, "All right, well, guys, I know none of you watch sports somehow, but I'm gonna have to leave you for 4 hours to watch this game." No, I don't know what I would have done. Probably propped my phone up somewhere, but I was surely not missing it.
I've been working, so yeah, I've been working while watching the game. But no, yeah, I could be more excited. You know what? I love being the first game. Like I love not having to sit around and wait for
Oh
Sunday
yeah,
night. I love being the Sunday 3 o'clock game. I could be more excited. To
and
your
Sunday
point too,
night
it's like
is the game of the week, right? It's the Bills Ravens game.
yeah, Bills. That's gonna be a very good game.
That's going to be a
I
very good
will.
game. Everyone's going to watch it. Like that's
I
the other
will
thing
admit it.
too is although I will say God forbid, but if the Eagles lose, the last thing I'm going to want to do is watch another football
I,
game.
I was about to say the same thing. Yeah, in the event the bad happens, there's not a chance I'm watching Sunday night
But
football.
with a
I'll just say that right now.
victory, I'm going to get even more comfortable on the couch with my
With
blanket and
with the victory, I'll miss the first half because I'll be excited and celebrating, running around.
last thing I was going to bring up, unless there's anything else you want to talk about with this LA matchup.
Yeah, I do. I just want to throw these numbers because the Rams started this season 1-5, closed the regular season 9-2, and if you include the playoff win, they're 10-2 in the last 12. Just to throw, I just want to show that because again, we kind of teased how hot they've been, but just to show where they've been at. That
Recency
when the
bias
Eagles,
is a thing. Yes,
yeah.
agreed.
So yeah, and so yeah, it's gonna be a fun game, and I will say that one of those two losses when they rested everybody the last game of the season. So essentially one loss after starting 1-5 with the core of their team. So
But they haven't played Philly in that run.
it's true.
All right.
Actually, actually no, we were the one lost.
Yeah, all right, even better. That's even better. That means we beat them in the peak.
Yeah,
All
we were the
right.
one regular loss.
Andrew, give us your score for the divisional round matchup.
Yeah, I'm gonna go off what I said a little bit earlier. Is I think a little slow start for the Birds, but similar to what we've seen throughout the year, a little slow start. They get behind a little early, and then they take over, similar to the first game against the Rams. And I'm going to go 31-20 Eagles victory.
All right. I again close in score, but I think I'm actually a little meaner in my prediction. Uh I actually think the Eagles kind of hit the ground running and have a good I'll say like fairly even game with a slow end. Kind of like similar to Barkley deciding to slide and not take that touchdown. Like I think they finished strong after coming out hot. I think Hurts got his hits in and is ready to play. Um, that being said, I think the final score is in Eagles' favor, 27-16. I think the defense is going to do a heck of a job, keep them to mostly field goals. And yeah, like I said, I think Barkley and AJ Brown are ready with some inner peace. We're gonna start with the Flyers. The Sixers are currently playing right now. They're or did they start yet? Yeah, I think they started. Gearing up against the New York Knicks. But we're gonna start Flyers, then we'll end with Sixers news. Flyers currently off of a one-game loss, still a little disappointing to the the Jackets. Sorry, I have it written down. I got cocky and I looked off the paper, but it was to a shootout, so that's saying something. They were on
Got
a
a point.
two-game winning streak. Great meme coming out of the Anaheim Ducks game, by the way. Did you see that? I don't know
Yes,
if
that was
you would have.
awesome.
You got it, the lemonade stand.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
was.
Oh, come on. Nick and Luke used to play it nonstop.
I was laughing
We
so
could have go we
hard.
could have go a day without hearing that back home.
Duck walks up to the left. That was so great. So great job to Gritty. But yeah, two-game winning streak, which was awesome, which could have gone into a third game. However, they did go into a shootout, which I mean, that means they got a point.
Yep, yeah, you had a point on it. So 3 game
Nice.
point streak.
I am a Flyers man. So not a total loss because it did go to shootout. Um, but it's cool to see you've got them. Keep on keeping on. Andrew, your Flyers thoughts.
Yeah, it would have been nice to get the game against the Blue Jackets. You lose, like you said, shootout. You had the lead in late into the third. I think you gave up the goal with 3.5 minutes left in the game. So one, you definitely wish you could have closed out. It's just it's a shame because it's your typical rebuilding team, but there's so much to like with this team in the future. But it's the clear, you get three, you lose three, you get three. Like, it's just your typical up and down 500 team, 19-20 on the year, and you currently sit 4 points back of a playoff spot. So hopefully, and the team you're chasing is the Blue Jackets, of course. So that point could have been huge too there.
I didn't even consider that when my in my notes.
So like again, it's a shame, and I mean this team has just battled through different things. You had Sam Ersan getting hurt throughout the year. He's supposed to be your starting goalie. And, he's battling stuff left and right. You've shuffled through three goalies, so it just seems like this team's they're battling, they're fighting through it, and it's just your typical rebuild. And you just want to fast forward a year, right, with this club because another year with Mitchkov, another year with a lot of these young guys. You got a lot of good picks coming up, and so it's almost like you're at that point where you see the potential in this team. And you want to just skip to another year of experience and get to that next level.
Hey, at least we're currently tied points wise with the Penguins, and I think ranked above them because of the one win.
Yeah, yeah, no, we are, and you actually have another game in hand too. They played 46 games, we played 45, so
I,
they got an extra game, and you're still tied.
I will actually officially be attending their the
Sweet,
Flyers coming to Pittsburgh on February 27th or 8th. I forget which one,
there you
but
go.
Yeah, I'm officially going to that game, so I will be reporting live. No, I won't, but I'll be there for that fun event, which will actually have some consequences. Apparently, like it's, you know, so you said we're one playoff, we're behind the Jackets. For is the do the Jackets have the last playoff spot? I'm trying to ask.
Yes, and we're 4 points back. So essentially, you're 2 games back because it wins 2 points.
Okay, so that's what I was trying to get at was we're really we're beating up the Penguins in the rankings, but we're not really fighting them for the playoff spot. We're just competing to try and steal it from
Well,
someone else. So it's
you
really a
essentially
three-way
are
brawl.
still. You essentially are because you're tied with them, so you're still
Right.
fighting for the playoff spots.
Yeah, but it's not their playoff spot to lose, I
Correct. To
guess is what
lose.
I'm saying.
Correct. Correct.
Um, but yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm excited for that game coming up. Again, I think we've mentioned the goalie issue a lot. You just got to assume that in the offseason they're going to make a goalie change. Like they have to. That's the key that is missing.
Yeah, it's that your defense overall, and I think they realized where this team was at, so they didn't want to get ahead and waste a year of, whoever you might bring in. You make a trade and you waste a year of that contract or something like that. So I think that, and that's Keith Jones and Danny Briere taking over this team puts you in a really good spot. And I like the direction they're going. I think they recognize, as much as a fans, you want to skip that step, right? I think they realize what this year was about, gaining experience, getting that next level, and then I think this off season is where you might see you take that next step and really fight for that middle ground, if not a little top tier playoff spot where you're not fighting for the last wild card spot.
All right, so moving on to Philadelphia 76ers. I've got
Who?
them I've got some thoughts, Andrew, because this team, I if the listener is returning, they'll recall. And also, if you, regardless, I'm going to do a quick shout out to the listeners. Hey, thank you, for listening. If you haven't already, follow us on Spotify, where we are making moves that will be announced as soon as things are official. And also, make sure you subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already, the Philly Gamer, where you can get the video podcast. Thank you, everyone that's been listening, watching, and all the support we've been getting. The show is growing, and we're both very excited. So thank you. Now, got the fun stuff out of the way. But if you recall the last episode, Andrew's pick of the week was either the Oklahoma City Thunder or tonight's New York Knicks because it was two great matchups at home. The Oklahoma City Thunder, obviously the best team in the NBA, one of the best, I think best.
Yep. They're
And then you have tonight's matchup, which is a rivalry with the New York Knicks for many reasons. It's New York. We lost against them in the playoffs last year. I mean, it's New York. What else do you need, right? So many reasons to look forward to both of these games. Well, when I tell you I was gearing up to watch the game last night, I was actually doing home renovations. I was like, oh, I'm going to put the Sixers game on while I'm doing it. It's going to be great, all these things. And I get notification one. I'm not sure which order it was, so I'm going to make it up. But notification one, Paul George out. I'm like, all right, well, that's a bummer. Notification two, actually, notification one, let's be honest, was Embiid out. And I was like, all right, well, hopefully he plays tomorrow. Two, Paul George is out. Three, Maxey out. It's like, what the heck? And then you go look at it. Maxey was doing shoot around, and they're still claiming, oh, he was out for an injury to his hand. Now, Maxey was supposed to play tonight. Again, I don't have the game up. Andrew, I don't know if you have the game up already.
he's playing.
Um, Maxey was supposed to play tonight. Uh, I just deleted all my tabs. Paul George is still out, I believe, and Embiid is still out. Or no, Paul George is playing, Embiid is still
Yeah,
out.
Georgian.
So, but like my point just being, and I know some of these injuries are legit, and I actually was going to talk about this. Let's go over how many injuries are going on right now. We've got the obvious McCain, which is unfortunate, and we wish him quick recovery, which is not quick, but recovery. We've got Maxey is quote unquote injured. We've got Drummond on the injury list. We've got Embiid, of course, on the injury list. We've got Kyle Lowry, who, Andrew, I'm going to be honest with you, forgot was on the team. Absolutely forgot. Feel like we haven't said his name all year. And I'm not even making the 2025 joke. I'm saying I don't think in this NBA season, you and I have talked about Kyle Lowry once. And
Yeah, he's been in and out with injury.
to finish it real quick, wrap it up. Caleb Martin, we've got Kenyon Martin, we've got, and then I think I already said Maxey. Like what is this injury list? Is every team this riddled with injury? Because I don't think so, and I feel like you've got to look at the Sixers either you got to look at their strength and conditioning conditions, or what's more likely is you've got that office intertanglement happening that we keep saying is a pain in the ass, and we want nothing to do with.
Yeah, it's a mess. I mean, it's a shame. Again, the fans, I think, are getting tired of it. I think you're starting to see a lot of people fall off the board here. I mean, I saw a picture tonight. I mean, if you haven't seen it, go on Twitter and look at the tweet. I think it was Keith Pompey put out. But I mean, the stadium was like empty 5 minutes before the game. And his exact words: "Wow, I haven't seen the Wolves first center this empty 7 minutes before a Sixers game since the process." And it's just, I mean, it's more than half empty probably. Um, and it's a shame. I mean, it's a shame. But the Sixers, the organization, the front office, leading with Harris, Josh Harris, they did it to themselves. They did it from the start of the year when they did the holding Embiid out for the beginning of the year. They did it to themselves for never opening up, being honest with where they were going with everything this year, and you continue to see it. I know you made the joke last week, or not a joke, but you asked me the question, what about Embiid? Like, will they just? Because I know we recorded the right before the Wizards game, I believe, and it was when they ruled Embiid out, and you asked me, do you think it's just a precaution thing? We're playing a bad team, get him right for these upcoming games. Do I think he's actually hurt with the foot injury? And first off, I think I said, first off, we don't know because they don't tell us anything until an hour before the game when they roll him in or out. And they rolled him out. And I said, if I had a guess with him been playing, that it was probably just precaution, one game thing. Well, it turns out he hasn't played the entire week since you asked me that question. Nobody knows what it is. I mean, all the reporters, if you read tweets, it seems like it's all a guessing game. And I'll give credit to Kyle Newbeck, his tweet. Joel Embiid sprained his right foot. Following, I don't know if you guys remember on the Sixers Christmas game when he was shooting around before the Celtics game, fell over the security rope. But anyway, I think that's when he hurt it. He played the only games he missed after that was a back to back, which was normal for him to miss. And then he went on and played 4 games after that. And he's been day to day every game. And then now all of a sudden he's out. So nobody knows. I mean, can you call it a sprain? Did he break it? Did he fracture it? What is going on? And that's the problem I have with where this organization at is they don't tell you anything. Like it's all a secret. Like you look at it. I mean, while he didn't go in full detail, right? What did Nick Sirianni do every press conference, right? He basically started off or just said Hurts is still in concussion protocol. Yeah, he
Yep.
didn't give us full on details, but at least told you he's not past anything. He's not moved on. He's still in the same state. No, for Embiid and the Sixers, it's always day to day. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Day to day, day to day. Like we don't know where he's at, and that's I can't speak for the whole fan base. Obviously, we're you, but for me, that's my biggest issue is they don't tell you anything. It's really a shame, and that's where I take issue, and I get it. And last night's frustrating too, especially in your home fan base. You know, you rest Maxie and George, and you had all those fans buy those tickets for a big, fun upcoming game, and you couldn't even put out those two guys, right? You put out basically a process
That's
lineup.
Andrew. If I can
Um,
jump in,
and
I just wanted to say like that's the situation that we keep talking about. This team is so unlikable right now, and part of it's the team, part of it's the office. And you have them returning from a road trip, and you have two back-to-back games at home, and you don't have any any of the key starters in the game 1 game at home. Like I understand. Again, I think I mentioned last podcast about it's the best team in the league. They probably rest Embiid because uh, they're taking the L, right? But when they come
I
back
took the
from
L.
a road trip and you don't play any of them, like why would anyone go buy tickets there again? Ever? I mean, we're going to start seeing dollar tickets because people can't get rid of them. You talk about the stadium being empty. This team is just so unlikable because of the office management is atrocious, but it's just like my big thing that I wanted to point this out, and it all ties together. This is all one big bow that we're tying together, and it's the big issue. It's the NBA issue that no one cares about the regular season, and it's too long for a regular season that no one cares about. And then you have the playoffs that come and go, and the Sixers obviously do not perform in the playoffs. So now you've got a team that's underperforming during the regular season, is borderline hateable in the regular season. Fans want nothing to do with it because you're hiding the starters that they're buying. That's who we buy your jerseys of. I'm not buying jerseys of even Drummond. Like it's you're gonna get jerseys of the starter of Lowry. I can't believe Lowry was the first one I said. Embiid, Maxey, Paul George. Like these are the guys people got buy the merch of. These are the guys that you support, that you want to see in front of you. This is the Barkley conversation. But instead of laughing at New York Giants, we're sitting here basically begging the Sixers to do freaking anything.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I mean that's where you're at, and that's your hope is they do. And here's the thing: they got to figure out they got to make a decision. I mean, we'll see what happens in the game against the Knicks. Um, not off to a good start as we do this. We're already down 10 points,
They're
but
getting destroyed already.
you have to make a decision at some point, and this is why because you don't have your first round pick this year is only top 6 protected. So that means if it's anywhere from 7 to the end of the draft, you're not even going to have your first round pick. So you got to make a decision at some point. Do you just want to throw in the towel, get a good draft pick, and just restart next year? Which, if that's what it is, fine. Then just shut down Embiid for the year, right? Or are you going to go for it? And that's where this team has to decide because you can't keep playing this. You know, hopefully you're back at it. And because I honestly I thought they started turning the corner. You had that fun Christmas Day game. You beat the Celtics. You went on a nice run on that West Coast trip. Then you're coming back home for a while. And I really thought that was the start of the turn. And it obviously wasn't. I mean, Embiid now has sat out for a while, so we'll see what happens. But it's a decision the Sixers have to make.
And unfortunately, it's just not one they're going to share with us, basically. Like, it truly does feel like it's not just it's not a it is a rest year. It is we're skipping this year. However, it doesn't appear that way. And the office management of it is just atrocious to the sense that, we won't see it, which is weird that you wouldn't just kind of say that basically, because that's something teams do. And it's certainly something the Sixers have done with the goddamn process. I just it's so bottom it's top to bottom bad. And I am watching the Sixers right now. I'll have them on after the podcast is over. And I try to get my once a week in, but like gosh darn, this is just it is the two games you were most excited for, just the amount of people benched for this game. I just it's literally laughable. It's literally laughable. Let's wrap it up. Andrew, I know we did nothing but talk shit on them, but do you have your pick of the week for the next Sixers game the fans should be watching?
No, first that's the way last week went. I mean, the Sixers haven't shown any reason for us to not. I mean, they come in and that's what they did. I mean, I don't think they won it. I mean, outside the Wizards game, I think they lost every game since then.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a tough spot for this team to be in, and fortunately, again, they did it to themselves. But off that, I think I don't know. It's so tough. I mean, it's just because of where this team's at.
Yeah, I mean, and you've got
Can
some
I
tough
say?
matchups here that like
Can I
it
say there
does.
won't be a game? Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say the next week. So our four teams in the next week, matchup wise, are the Pacers, the Bucks, the Nuggets, and the Cavs. And I mean, heck of a matchup set right there. It's gonna be a tough week. You don't know when Embiid's playing, so Andrew in a tough spot trying to pick this game.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go with the Flyers versus Islanders.
All right, I'll give that to you one
Um,
week. You get to just skip once.
no, look, I don't. In all honesty, I'd have to say I'm going to throw out the Bucks because the Eagles will be finishing up when that game tips off. So I don't think anyone's going to be paying attention to that.
Yeah,
I'll
but
go the
Andrew, are
Denver
we gonna
Nuggets.
really watch that game after the Eagles win or lose?
That's what I said. I'm going to throw that game out. That's what I said.
Oh, I thought you meant throw it out like, yeah, I'll just pick that one. You're saying
Oh,
throw
no,
it in the
sorry.
bin.
No, yeah, yeah.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Because I mean, it would be a fun game against Giannis, but again, yeah, I don't think no one's going to pay attention
See, I don't even
to
think
this
that's gonna be a
Sixers
fun
team.
game because
So,
again, I think that's the game Embiid skips. Like,
but he hasn't played. He hasn't. So But to your point earlier, like, he hasn't
Potentially,
played since I think the Brooklyn Nets game, so you can't plan on. So I'm just picking based off of Embiid not playing any of the games, to be honest,
yeah.
because you can't pinpoint it. You don't know when he's going to be back. He's day to day.
See, so
It
you're
would
more
surprise
excited
me.
to see Giannis than you are anyone on the Sixers, is what you're saying.
Well, and we get to watch the Sixers every game, so we get to see Paul George and Maxey and all that. So what I really should say is whatever game Embiid decides to come back. No, but I have to go Denver. I think it's a fun matchup. You're going to be out there, out on, in Denver. It's a team you only get to face twice a year. It's not a team you get to face as often. Obviously, that team's been to the finals recently, and they got a lot of fun talent on that team. So I'm going to go with the Denver Nuggets. I think that's the game to watch. January 21st. It's a Tuesday.
Didn't
Um,
didn't they win last year?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Darn.
Yeah, last year was unfortunately our rival, the Boston Celtics. I tried to throw
Oh,
that
that
one
was
out
just
there,
last year? Man, that feels like. Anyway, I'm just wrong. It's fine.
but yeah, I gotta go Denver. I'll go Denver.
All
You got
right.
the Joker, you got Jamal Murray, so yeah.
Let's go with Denver. Right. All right. And I did a quick search, but I didn't see any Phillies news. Andrew, you got any Phillies for us before we go?
I'll just touch on it real quick because I don't think we talked about it since the trade. The Jesus Luzardo trade. He solidified probably one of the best, arguably if not one the best rotation in baseball, top to bottom. I think Luzardo is a 2 to 3 range for most rotations, but he's going to be a number 5 guy. I will say Phillies closer Jeff Hoffman from last year, fantastic season, signed with Toronto, so I think it's a huge loss. I'll leave with this. It'll be fun if we get to talk about one. I would love to see one more bullpen addition, so hopefully we get to do a quick touch on the a reliever maybe addition before next week. But hey, we're about 30 days from pitchers and catchers, so it could be more
Ooh,
exciting.
there we go.
Yeah.
The pitchers and catchers count up always gets me going a little bit. It's like, oh,
Well,
we're that close. We're that close.
actually,
Let's
less than that because they just announced it's the 12th. So it's
the 12th
here's
of
here's the
February.
yep. So here's the dream. Eagles Super Bowl champions February 9th. Pitchers and catchers are starting up the 12th.
Oh man, dude. I if only. I can't wait. I actually was just oh man. I was thinking about the Super Bowl the other day. It was a little it got to the point where I was like, no, I can't. I can't assume. I can't get that
Yeah,
excited. Like, gotta shoot those expectations down. You can't live that way because then you're just that much more disappointed when you lose. And you
yeah.
lose. All right. Andrew, anything else before we wrap this episode up?
Fly goes fly. Go Birds.
Go Birds, baby. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening to Philly Sports Now, a Philly fan podcast. You can find us on all the social media, Twitter, Butterfly X, whatever. Who cares? Again, thank you for following and subscribing. If you haven't already, please follow on Spotify. Please subscribe on YouTube. That's The Philly Gamer. I'm Zach. That's Andrew. And as always, go Birds. Good night.
Go!